Last month, I saved 10 insurance agency owners $50,000 each, not through some complicated tax strategy or negotiation tactics, just by putting them in the same room together. And here's what surprised me most: the money was never really even the biggest benefit. I'm Kyle Gorman, and I've spent the last 20 years in business leadership, executive leadership, entrepreneurship, and over the last several years now as a business strategist, helping others grow their business. And what I've learned is this: most business owners are bleeding money in places that they can't even see because they're making decisions completely alone. And today I'm going to show you the 3 areas where business owners waste the most money, and more importantly, how a community of peers can plug those leaks faster than you ever can on your own. Here's why this is important to understand: because business owners, especially those in this kind of $1 million to $5 million revenue range, they have some buying power, but they don't really know how to use it. First, they may not understand you even have it, but then you have to understand how to use that buying power and leverage it to your benefit. And this generally comes from being able to work with others, where you can take the power of $1 million and turn it into the power of 10 or 15 or $20 million. And so what this lands into is something we call the isolation tax. And the isolation tax is just simply reminding us that making decisions alone is costing you 6 figures a year. Every time you make a decision that someone else has already made, every time you try something that someone else has tried, every time you go through the trial and error process, it's costing you money because it's taking you longer to come up with the answers. It's taking you longer to really identify the root cause of the problems, and it's taking a whole lot longer to figure out the process and the solutions to fix it. And so you are paying a tax that's coming straight out of your bottom line simply by not having people to come around and help you. And it's part of this isolation tax. Here's 3 of the biggest money leaks that I see in businesses right now. First of all is technology subscriptions. There's so much technology out there, and all of it is designed to help us, but there's also a lot of overlap in this technology. And so when you look at the next greatest thing that's out there, or you see the next shiny object, it's easy to get distracted and think, oh, well, this thing can help me, and this is going to be better than what I have. And you're promised that. You're being sold to constantly as a business owner. And so then you have this sort of subscription creep that starts happening, and you start stacking subscription on subscription on subscription. Yeah, I just had something the other day that I realized I was spending $40 a month on that I've never used. And you think about that compounded over many, many months, sometimes many years, and we constantly are adding new systems and new technologies, and yet rarely are we going back and removing things. And so whenever we have this technology creep and this subscription creep starting to come in, one of the challenges there is we don't have other people to compare notes to say, oh, well, you're using this and this, or you're using this and you're able to get rid of this system. I didn't know that this other system did this thing. And so next thing you know, you're spending a ton of money on technology subscriptions that are designed to help you make you more efficient and effective, but they really aren't. And instead, they're costing you a ton of money. The second big money leak that I see is vendor contracts. And this is real simple. So we're negotiating alone instead of as a group. I'll tell you a story in just a minute of how I was able to help several companies, help these 10 agency owners save $50,000 or more a year. And a big part of that was negotiating contracts, because it's much easier to negotiate a vendor contract when we're bringing $15 or $20 million to the table. And so whenever you're able to come along as a group and you find others in your space that you're able to come along, and then it really starts to create some buying power for you so that you can negotiate these contracts either to get better money from them or to reduce the cost that you're spending to them. And then the third, and frankly, the absolute biggest, is hiring mistakes. Hiring is difficult. It's a real challenge. The first company I built was a recruiting company. We dealt with hiring every day, helped thousands of people hire. And it is not easy. It is an art. And one of the things that we often see is when we talk about this isolation tax, when you are trying to hire by yourself, you're trying to hire alone, and it's really difficult because you see good interviews, but that employee doesn't really work out, or you hang on to an employee way too long, or you have someone on your staff that you don't know how to coach properly, or you have someone that's really a good fit for your company, but they're in the wrong seat and you can't step back far enough to be able to recognize where they would fit someone else. These employee mistakes, the challenges that you deal with in managing and leading your employees, whether it's through good hiring practices, good coaching practices, good retention practices, or good firing practices, these are the most costly aspects of your business. And when you don't have peers to come along with you and say, hey, have you tried this? Hey, we tried this one thing. This worked for us one time. You should try this other thing. Just to think outside the box and think differently than where you sit in your tunnel, it's costing you thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars every single year. So when we look at these big money leaks happening in your business, technology subscriptions, vendor contracts, and hiring mistakes, without a team of people around you that are helping you with these things, that isolation tax really starts to enhance and really hurt your business, costing you tens, if not hundreds of thousands of dollars every single year. So let's look at the story that I shared with you. $50,000, real example from an insurance agency peer group that I lead. One of the first things we were able to do, worked with a phone system. Now, what I want you to understand is no agency within a peer group is required to take any of these things, but the opportunity's there. So just within the phone system, we were able to get, through negotiated buying power, we were able to get 50% off each license for each person in their business. Now you expand that over 8 to 10, maybe even more employees, 50% off of each license, each person. We're talking about a pretty significant savings. I mean, we're talking $8, $10, $15,000 a year in savings just on that one negotiation, working with a good phone provider. And by the way, not a chancy phone provider. We're talking about one of the top in the country, but they understood the value of being able to put that information and that pricing in front of $20 million worth of revenue instead of $1 million worth of revenue. The other thing we were able to do was negotiate with software vendors. So again, when we look at technology, phone system was one of the big ones, but there are so many little pieces that come in, all this technology that gets layered on top of each other and on top of each other and on top of each other. And so whenever we're able to go with those, with the buying power of multiple similar businesses within an industry, we're able to get much better pricing. In fact, on average, I went through and looked at this. On average, we got a 40% decrease in cost by doing this, by negotiating through the total buying power of a group. Now, again, not required to take on the technology, but it gives you the option, and it gives you the option at a much better price than if you went out and implemented this technology by yourself. But the other thing is, and here's kind of the secret weapon, and I told you, it wasn't just the cost savings that was the greatest value, but here was the thing. You're able to talk to people that have actually used that technology, that have actually used that software. You can find out how it's working well and what's not working about it. You can find out the glitches and how to onboard it properly. You can find out if it's really right for you and hear from real people that are using it, not just simply a salesperson trying to tell you why it's the next greatest thing that you absolutely have to have. And then the other place that we were able to save this money for these agencies was process improvement. Constantly, you are working on improving your processes. You are working on how do we streamline our processes? How do we make ourselves more efficient? How do we make ourselves more effective? Now you take that idea and the things that you've done, you put them in a room with 10 other people that are doing the same things constantly. The power of that is unbelievable. In fact, just in one piece of this that was incredibly quantifiable, we saved these agencies over $15,000 because of being able to implement a process that someone else had already invested in. And they were able to take this and spread it out amongst a whole group and say, this is what we've been able to do. This is how we've been able to do it. That's one process improvement for over $15,000 for every single agency. The impact is absolutely incredible. And here's why this works. It's really simple. Vendors want the collective revenue of 15 million, 20 million, 30 million, more so than they want a single revenue of 1 million, 2 million, 5 million. So when you are in this revenue space as a business, you don't have a lot of negotiating power by yourself with 10 users and $2 million worth of revenue. But when you combine that with other people, and now all of a sudden we have 50 users, we have 80 users, and we have multi-millions of dollars, we have massive negotiating power. We get the negotiating power that the big dogs, the big competitors in your space are going to get. And the principle's really kind of simple. Here's the lesson. Come alongside other people. There's value in working with other people. Not everything we do has to be competition between us and every single other person in our industry. Yeah, there's some competition. The people in my geographic market are my competitors, but there are people all over this country that are not your competitors that can actually help you build, grow, scale, and save a lot of money. And so again, I told you that one of the biggest surprises that I saw in this was that the money wasn't even the main benefit. Now, for some, it certainly helped kind of stick around and say, let's see how this thing goes. But the money wasn't the main benefit. It was ending the loneliness, ending the isolation that comes with the concept and the mindset and the reality that is, it's lonely at the top. It's lonely at the top. And we all know that as a business owner, there are very few people you can go to and talk about the challenges you're having, the issues that are coming up, the latest trends and how to use them properly, that the stress that you're experiencing, the revenue challenges, the profit challenges, the contract negotiations, and just on and on and on. There's not many people you can go to with that type of conversation, but other peers in your industry, you absolutely can. They get it. And what I have found is, there's some benefit in the money that gets saved. The benefit of having other people to come alongside, excited about your successes, helping you through the challenges, helping identify root causes and root problems, helping you navigate these day-to-day issues that come up, celebrating when things are going well, excited for you whenever you grow and whenever something big happens, when you go out and you buy another business or you're able to start something new. To have people around you that get that and understand it, celebrate that with you, there's really no value you can put on that. It is absolutely invaluable. So here's my question. How much money are you leaving on the table by making every decision alone? If you're a business owner doing over $1 million in revenue and you are tired of being the only person in the room who understands your challenges, I want to invite you to join the waitlist for our next peer group. These groups are industry specific and we never put competitors in the same room. And the buying power alone typically will pay for your membership and much, much more, even in just the first 90 days. There's a link in the description. So join the waitlist and let's see if this is a right fit for you.